Hey, listeners, I am so excited. I know I say that every time, but I'm very excited. This is my mother. She is joining us for a kitchen table episode, and I am so grateful to have her here. Her name is Christine Limoges. That's Limoges. Nobody knows how to spell it or say it. So
That's true.
yeah, we always get questioned about that. And I have in the wings my sister, Lisa Johns, who will not be recorded. She didn't want to be recorded, but she's here for moral support. And if we make mistakes
Yes.
or we can't remember something or she disagrees with us, she's gonna like be yelling from the wings. So if you hear a random voice or laughter, that is my sister. So welcome to the show, Mom.
Thank you very much for having me.
This is something that I have been wanting to do for a long time because I just know that sometimes we don't get all the stories that we want. And after, someone passes away and we regret not asking all the stories.
That's so true.
And so I want to have that for us, but it's not just for us. I feel like a lot of our story can help listeners out there because we've had, our family's been through some hard things, some hard times, and so we're just going to share about. So, Mom, can you tell the listener just a little bit about yourself now, and then we're going to kind of share part of our family story, but I don't want people to think, well, gosh, why should I care about your story? But there's a lot of things that our family has been through, your family growing up have been through, that I think is going to bring some hope and perspective and some just some inspiration for people that are listening. So tell the listener about where you are right now in your life.
Well, I live in Fountain Inn, and so I have my daughter Carol that lives in Fountain Inn, my daughter Lisa that lives in Simpsonville, and my son Rick that lives in Hickory Tavern. And so I have six grandchildren. I have 11 great grandchildren. And I'm so blessed because when I tell people that my children live close, they're like, you are so blessed. And
Yeah.
I agree, I am so blessed because I do have one granddaughter that lives in Georgia, but
Yeah.
it's not like it's in another
Right. It's
country.
a little over an hour,
It's a
but
little away, but it's somewhere that we can go and not, it wouldn't take us long to get there.
right.
So I'm very blessed about that.
Yeah.
And I did lose my husband to COVID in 2020, and we were married 56 years. And so that's a little bit about my story.
Yeah. So it is good. It's that we live so close to each
Yes.
other, and that is a blessing for all of us.
Hmm.
So I want to go to your childhood. Let's start there. And
Hmm.
I want you to talk about Grandma and Grandpa. And Grandma grew up in Preston, England, and Grandpa met her when he was stationed in England during the war. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, my dad was stationed in Freckleton, England, and he joined the army and he went over there. And so one day, him and his friend or I don't know if they were walking or riding a bike, but he saw my mom and her friend, and she was. He said, one of these days I'm going to marry her, and it really wasn't that long before they got married. And then my dad was shipped back to America after the war, and so she um was supposed to come over, but I got sick. Well, meanwhile, I was born, and I
Yeah.
left when I was 8 months old. But she was supposed to leave earlier, but my dad, I'm sorry, my mother finally made it to America when I was 8 months old, and then she flew in. She went to New York. Well, then she had to find her way to Greenville. And she didn't really, she had that accent. Probably people didn't understand her that
So there
well.
was no, like she flew, was it a plane or was it a ship?
No, she came over by plane.
And then when she got there, she had to figure out how to get to North Carolina from New
Well,
York.
Greenville,
Or,
really.
well,
Yeah. Hmm.
she had to figure that out on her own.
I think she had to find out about her tickets on the train and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then we met my dad in Greenville, South Carolina. We came by train, and then they went to North Carolina because that's where my grandparents lived, and they stayed with them a while. And at one time, my dad did go to Otine Hospital, which was an military hospital. I'm not sure what happened. I guess he had been sick in the military or something. But my mom, when she came to Greenville, she had all her um, monthly checks that she had saved because she was living with my grandparents. So she didn't really need that much money. And my dad had spent all the money.
Mm.
And I'm sure she was very downhearted about that.
Yeah.
And so after she lived with my grandparents, they found a house. It wasn't the best, but they were at least by themselves. And my mother had wanted to go back to England,
Mm.
but she was pregnant with my brother,
Oh,
so she had to stay. She couldn't go home with two children.
yeah.
And so it was a hard time for her, but she decided that she was going to start um, making clothes for me. And she learned to sew, and she would cut out patterns on like brown paper bags. And she became a good seamstress. And she said, "Well, I'm going to do better. I want to buy us a house." So then they moved to Travelers Rest, South Carolina.
So I'm going to stop you right there because I want to go back a
Okay.
little bit. So when Grandpa was stationed in England and they got married and then you
Hmm.
were born, and then Grandpa, because he was in the military, he had to be shipped back to the United States. Grandma wasn't, you and Grandma were not allowed to go with
No.
him at that time.
Hmm.
And so there were lots of whispers that he was not going to come back
Yes.
because a lot of the women were kind of making fun of Grandma because she believed in Grandpa
Yeah.
that he would come back for her or he would
Hmm.
send for her.
Yeah.
And so Grandpa had promised that he would write to her every single day
Hmm.
while he was away. And every day, I remember Grandma telling this story. Oh, it just makes me sad to think about it. But she said it got so awkward because every day she'd go when the postman came and she'd ask if she had a letter, and he said no. And she said it got so awkward that he just wouldn't look at her because
Hmm.
he didn't want to have to tell her, you know, another day that she had not received anything. Then, the women were talking about, oh, he's not going to send for her. But she always had hope. And
Yeah.
I wrote a devotional about it and I called it The Courage to Believe because she had the courage to believe
Hmm.
that he was going to come back for her or he was going to send for her. And so one day, I don't know how much longer it was after he had left, the postman, she said, he looked her right in the eye and she said, I knew I had letters. And he took that bag and he turned it upside down. And he had written her every day
Oh my
while
gosh.
but he said he couldn't get it to her because he was on a ship.
Hmm.
And that's why she never received any mail. But how, I mean, I'm sure that must have really made Grandma feel good. Like, yeah, look at all these letters he
Hey, that
sent
could be a
me.
movie.
I know it could be a movie because I cry every time I tell the story. But I'm so glad that was one of the stories that Grandma told us towards the end of her life that I had never known before. And I was so glad that she told us that story. But it also showed how much Grandpa loved her.
Yeah, he did love her.
He really did.
Yeah, we saw that a
Oh,
lot.
I mean, we saw that as grandchildren.
Yeah.
We knew how much Grandpa loved Grandma.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so they moved to Travelers Rest.
Right. And they bought a house and they had went to the bank. And so my mom said, I want to buy a house. And she talked to the man at the bank and she said, I'll give you my paycheck every week. Only thing I need is to take out the babysitting money. Because by then there was four children
Yeah.
in the family. And we did. We bought a house and they bought a house in Travelers Rest. And um, we lived there till I was going in the night. No, we didn't. We moved to Marietta, South Carolina. We lived there a while, and then we moved to Greenville. So
And when you moved to Greenville, you moved into a brand new house,
yeah,
which Do you remember? Were you excited?
Yeah, I think we were. Well, it was hard moving.
Well,
You
yeah,
know,
because that was a good ways away
yes,
from
yes.
Mary
And we moved to the city. Although where my mom lives now is
lived.
lived is on is near Fairway Ford.
Yeah,
That was in the country.
yeah.
Very country. There was nothing around there at the
And
time.
it's hard to believe.
Yes, the Laurel Baptist Church was there, and they had a school and all that stuff, which they don't have anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, we lived out, and we rode the city bus to school and stuff like that. So it was a different thing. We had never rode the bus. We had walked to school because we lived on Main Street in Marietta, South Carolina.
Well, that's not saying a lot. But so you grew your high school years basically were in Greenville.
Greenville, junior high and Greenville High School.
Okay. So then you and Daddy met. So talk about how you and Daddy met.
Well, I had a girlfriend, and we would walk from where I lived on Lawrence Road, where Fairway Ford is now, and we would walk all the way to downtown Greenville. I mean, we didn't think anything about it, but we did that. And one day we were walking, and we saw this soldier, and my friend started talking to her, and
To him.
I'm sorry, to him. And then we he started coming to see her, and then he said, "Well, I have a friend." And so the friend, he said, "Well, I'm not going to write her, so you'll have to write him." And I wrote him, and he was in the letter, he said he was from New York, but they had a dairy farm. I said, "They have dairy farms in New York?" I never heard of that. I thought New York was a big city. That's all
The
I
whole
knew.
state was a big
That's
city.
what I
A
thought.
lot of people think that.
Yes. And so anyway, he came down one weekend, and it was on a Saturday morning, and he knocked on the door, and I had a white um sweater on, and I had red pants, and he said he'd never forget how I looked. And that was in February of 1964,
February 1st.
1964, and we got married August 15th of 1964.
But y'all didn't like each other at first.
No, he said I won't be back. But my friend was getting married, and they were going to like a justice of the peace. So he came down, and then after that, and he would stay at my parents' home, and he would stay in my brother's room every time he came down.
But he was stationed in Virginia.
Yes, and he hitchhiked.
And how often did he come?
He came as often as he could, probably a couple of times a month.
I
And
mean, that's a
that's
lot.
500 miles.
That's a lot.
Yes,
Hitchhike.
yes,
I mean, I know things were different because this was, like you said, 64
yes.
when and then y'all got married in August of
We
64.
were supposed to get married in September, but what happened was his company got called to Vietnam, but he wasn't one of the ones. But
Oh,
eventually he did have to go anyway.
yeah.
So,
I didn't know that.
yeah.
So then you get married, but you don't get to stay in South Carolina.
No, after we got married, we moved to Virginia. And then after that, he had to go to Vietnam. So I came home. And then when I was 7.5 months pregnant, I went over to Germany. And so then you were born about
Yeah.
a month and a half later.
So
It's
you were about 8 months pregnant,
7.5 months, yeah.
flying all the way to
Yes.
Germany
And
as a, well, were you even 19? Probably
yeah,
just
yeah.
turned 19
And I
by
got
yourself.
and I got to the airport, and my dad said, "You're not going." And my mom said, "Yes, you are." She said, "You need to go to be with your husband."
Mm.
And I went over there, and I landed in Frankfurt, Germany. And that was hard because, you know,
Well, nobody spoke English
no, well,
much.
we had a house in Krelsheim, which was they didn't speak English. And we couldn't live on the base because he didn't have enough rank. He was
Oh,
like a PFC. But and he brought a wash machine home on the bike because he had a bike that he rode, and it worked for a while. But then I put his uniforms in there and I tore it up. Then we had to. I had to wash clothes in the bathtub.
Oh God.
Yeah. No, and no disposable diapers, nothing like that.
I can't
Yeah,
even
you can't
imagine.
say I couldn't do that. You'd have to
Well,
do.
you don't know any
You
different.
don't have a choice.
Yeah, but I remember you saying so it was one house, but there was four families
Yeah.
living in this one house, but there was one kitchen and one bathroom,
No,
right?
we had our own kitchen and bathroom.
Oh,
Yeah, we had a living room, a bedroom, and we had a kitchen that wasn't heated, and the
that
bathroom
okay.
wasn't heated. But you didn't have a tub or anything. You had to go downstairs and pay a quarter, I think, to take a bath.
Okay.
And then you had to hang your clothes outside. And it snowed. It was always cold there. And then he would have to go into the field. So he would be gone sometimes, and I would just be
Like
just
overnight.
yeah, and it'd be or maybe a week. But so I just had you, and
Yeah.
yeah, and then when you were a year old, Grandma came. She went to England, and then she came to
Uh,
Germany for your first birthday, and right after that, we came back home.
but while you were in Germany, so you didn't have much socialization. And I remember you saying that there was an English speaking radio program
Yeah,
for how many?
country. It was like an hour a day. It was a country and western.
And that's the only English you got to hear.
Unless you went to sometimes we'd go to the post and we'd go to the Rod Gun Club and you could get a chicken back. It was good. And even it was so cold that if you had jelly, it would have ice in it. I mean, really, we roughed it.
So you had to chop the jelly up to put it on your toast in the morning.
Yeah. And I wasn't that good of a cook anyway, so
Well, so to me, and Grandma would send you like boxes of
books,
books
yeah.
for you to read.
Because what else could I do? And I just keep reading them
I just
over.
can't imagine how boring that would be.
Yeah. But we did go on trips.
Did you?
Yeah. I mean, your daddy, he always liked to drive around.
Oh,
So
yeah,
we got a car. And so I guess we were pretty well off.
to be able to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And I didn't take advantage of the things I probably should. I mean, you know, you don't appreciate you being in another country, I guess.
well, when you're that young,
Yeah, you don't.
yeah. One thing when I graduated from high school, and I always regret this, Daddy offered to take me to Germany.
Where you were born.
Yeah, to show me where I was born. And I I didn't want to go to Germany. I didn't want to leave my boyfriend,
Yep.
who's now my husband, for 2 weeks. How stupid was
But that would have
that?
been forever for you.
It would have been a long time ago, but I mean, a long time. But I wish, I always wish I'd have said yes rather than turn him down on that. So instead, I got a camera for graduation. But anyway, so once you and Daddy came back, y'all came back to Maryland.
Yeah, yeah, we
So you
did.
were
Well, first of all, we flew back over because he knew he was going to have to go to Vietnam. And so you had a dress on, and people thought you were a boy. Like, well, and so then we got they had an airstrike in New Jersey. So they told us, they said, you're going to have to wait on the plane. We don't know how long they're going to have this airstrike. So your daddy said, we're getting on a bus and we're going to South Carolina. So we made it all the way to North Carolina. My daddy picked us up. He didn't want us to ride all the way home. And he had Carol a little outfit, a little baseball
I
outfit.
don't know why he got me a baseball outfit.
You know, he was into sports.
Yeah.
And so then we came home, and one of my friends, as soon as we got there, she came and, saw us and all that stuff. Well, by that time, I was pregnant again.
Yeah, with Ricky.
Yeah, because you were 16 months old.
When he was born.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were about 13 months. And then we had to go to Virginia. We had to go to Maryland because that's where they put us up. And these were condemned housing that they put us up in, but they didn't care because they knew we weren't going to be there.
Well, I'm sure you cared.
I did. And so we stayed there for about 2 months. And then,
In condemned housing.
yes,
Why were they condemned?
they had cockroaches and all that stuff. It was terrible. But anyway, then I came back and I stayed with Grandma and Grandpa for that almost a year.
So Daddy wasn't able to come back to Greenville from Maryland.
Yes,
He
and it
was.
brought us home and everything.
Okay,
And
all right.
then he left and he arrived in Vietnam on a ship on Christmas Day. And he said that's the first time he'd ever had shrimp. And so he was there for, he came home, I think, in November of 1967.
So almost a year he was gone.
Right.
But so when he was away, I mean, first of all, when you heard that he was going to be deployed, how did you feel?
Well, you just scared because you just don't know if they're going to live. Because look at all those soldiers that got killed. And he actually drove a truck and he took the supplies to the front lines. So he had a very dangerous job. But
Uh,
I probably didn't really realize what he was going through. I mean, if
yeah.
you watch that movie, Saving Private Ryan and
Oh,
stuff like
yeah.
that,
Yeah.
terrible. But anyway, he was over there and then he came home. Well, he landed in I think it was California. And he came back
Oh.
through California.
But while he was there, so, you know, you couldn't call him. You couldn't FaceTime him.
No,
None of that even existed.
no, all you could do was get mail.
Yeah.
Sort of like my mom.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then send pictures
Yeah. hmm
back and forth and
And then my birthday's in April, so he sent me a flower. He sent me roses, and I started crying because I said it was so unfair for him to be there. But he got to come home, and that's the main
yeah.
thing. A lot of people didn't get to come home.
So did he come home? Did you know he was on his way home?
Well, yes, I did, but I was supposed to meet him in at the Greenville Spartanburg Airport, but he got a taxi,
Oh.
and so he knocked on the door, and so you and Rick were there, and
So we have a picture of Mama and Daddy. We weren't, Lisa didn't want to do this because she said she's gonna cry. So here me and you are crying.
come
Golly.
on over here, Lisa, you cry with us.
But there's a picture of Mom and Daddy when the day he came home. That
Yeah,
had to be just shocked when you opened the door and saw him.
yeah.
I can't imagine the relief.
Oh, yes. Because you never know. I mean, that was a war,
Right.
and so many people. How many people got killed? Thousands and thousands. But your daddy was a very patriotic person.
Oh,
He
he
always
was.
talked about the military.
Yeah,
Never said
he
anything.
always wore the Vietnam
Yes,
veteran
yes,
caps. My sister made a bunch of them for him, and he was very, very proud
he
to be
was.
a part of the
And we
military.
should be proud. We
Oh,
should be
yeah.
proud of our military, all the things that they've been
Well, the
through.
sacrifices
Yes.
that not just them, but the families
hmm
have to make. But then when Daddy came home from Vietnam, he was not accepted.
No, because the Vietnam War people didn't agree with. And then he was from New York, so he had two strikes against
Yeah,
him.
because this is the South and
Yeah,
Yankees are
especially
sometimes you think the Civil War is still going on.
especially back then.
Yeah, that's right.
But he did get a job, and we bought a house. And
But he wanted to re-enlist.
yes, but I said no, I couldn't do that.
I
Mm-mm.
don't even understand why he would want to re-enlist.
Well, I guess it was a job, safety.
Yeah,
Because if you don't have a job and you know you can keep that job,
yeah,
so I guess that would be what it would be. But you don't know, you'd probably go back to Vietnam.
yeah.
The chances are
Because the
you
war
would.
lasted a lot longer
Yeah, I'm not
after he
sure what
got
year it
like
was over.
72 or something. 76, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah,
But anyway, into the 70s. So that would have been, who knows? So I'm glad you put your foot down
yeah.
about that. But then we moved out of Grandpa and Grandma's house.
Yes, before he got home, I rented a house on Walnut Street in
Yeah.
Greenville on the Overbrook area. And before he left, I did not know how to drive.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so while he was gone, I said, well, I need to learn to drive. And so my brother-in-law took me driving, Steve,
Oh,
and
really?
he helped me learn to
I
drive.
didn't know that.
And then we had our car so I could drive. And so we had a cute little house. that we rented for a while in on Walnut Street. And then my mom, she's like, "You need to buy a house. You need to buy a house." That was her number one thing. You need
Yeah.
to buy a house. So we did. We bought a house on Anchorage. Well,
Which,
uh,
which now,
well, my grandson bought a house, and so when I went over there to see his house because I hadn't been over there, I said, "Cole, I used to live in that house across the street from you." He said, "No way, Grandma." I said, "Yeah, that was our first house." He didn't know that.
I didn't know he didn't know that.
Mm-mm.
Gosh.
And what's
So,
his street?
Haviland, like China.
Yeah, Haviland, and that's French. And
yeah,
so,
Limoges, China,
yeah,
Helen Limoges,
and
China.
that all went together.
Yeah,
Yes,
so it's like it was meant to be.
yes,
I think I was 5 when we moved from there.
yes. And we moved to Taylor's.
No, I had to be 4. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So, but I do have a few memories from that house.
It looks terrible over there. That house. I shouldn't say this.
That house looks terrible. We won't give the exact address,
No,
but
no, no, no. But that's an upcoming neighborhood thing.
well, yeah, it is, but somebody needs to work on that house in particular. So then we moved to Taylor's,
Mhm.
and then not long after we moved to Taylor's, then Lisa came along,
Yes, that's right.
and we how long?
1969.
1969, yeah. So how long did we live there? I was in the 3rd grade.
Probably
4 years?
probably 4 years, and then we moved to
Hickory,
Fountain
Hickory Tavern.
Inn.
Not Fountain Inn, Hickory Tavern.
Well, no,
But
it wasn't Hickory Tavern. You went to school in Hickory Tavern, but really that was a Fountain Inn address.
okay, well,
We were
Eh,
the last phone number that was not long distance, weren't we?
yeah.
yeah,
Our next door neighbors, when we moved to Hickory Tavern, they were long distance. We could see them, but we couldn't call them because it cost too much money
yeah.
to
We had to pay
call
long
long
distance.
distance.
We had long distance charges back then. No cell phones.
Right, that's right. So, but in the meantime, in the midst of all this moving, going to different houses, Daddy became a truck driver. So where where did all that happen? When did all that happen in the midst of
Okay,
moving?
Lisa was 13 months old, and he decided I need to get a job. And so I quit work, and then I stayed home, and then y'all, and he worked for F.W. Woolworths, and he was gone. He wasn't gone like a week at a time or anything like
Right.
that. He had a set route every night, but he was home all the weekends, and he'd probably leave on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
But so that's the way.
He was home like maybe
Tuesdays and Thursdays.
2 nights a week or something. So,
Yeah.
but he was gone a lot of our childhood. So that had to be hard.
It was. And then when Lisa was in the fifth grade, he decided I no, I'm getting my stories mixed
No,
up
she
now.
was older than that.
It was you were in the fifth grade when we moved to Fountain. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
yeah. That's so I remember one night when we were living in Hickory Tavern, because we obviously Hickory Tavern's in the country. You
Hmm.
can tell by the sound of the name. But I remember we were all so scared because a tornado, there
Oh
was
my
tornado
gosh.
threats. And so you had a king size bed and you got all 3 of us and put us in bed with you. And we didn't even, I mean, we were fine. We weren't scared or anything. But we woke up the next morning and the barn that was right beside our house was totally gone. And we
We
missed,
slept.
we slept
We
right
slept through the
there.
whole
Yeah.
thing.
And Daddy wasn't there. And, but I mean, it was like, you know,
And people did lose their lives then
oh,
because it
really?
went down straight through lines. Yeah.
I don't remember. Of course, I mean, I wasn't very old then,
I'm pretty sure that some people died. Yeah.
but it was I mean, it was scary the next day when we woke up and we saw that.
Yeah. I'm
That
like, oh my gosh, slept
I
through.
know. We didn't even know we needed to get in the bathtub or
We
anything.
had no news alerts, did we?
We didn't have anything. But then after we were living in Hickory Tavern, we lived there for
5 years.
5 years. So that was the longest we ever lived anywhere. And we I didn't want to move, but you wanted to move.
I didn't like living in the country.
Well, it
It was
was
country back then.
9 miles to the grocery store,
They
which
had
was
they didn't really have, you had to go to Simpsonville. I
yeah,
mean, yeah,
yeah.
get groceries or anything.
It was just a long way to
Yeah.
go, and then all your family lived in Greenville,
And
so
they
that
they said, well,
was
we got to pack a bag if we're going to go
I
visit them.
know.
They did. You remember them saying that?
Yeah, but and Daddy was gone all the time, so you were at home. I mean, especially when we were in school, you were at home by yourself a lot.
Hmm.
So that had to be hard. So then you decided that you wanted to move back to Greenville, I guess.
Yeah.
And then y'all found a house smack dab in the middle of downtown
Downtown Greenville.
Greenville.
But I will tell you that when we lived in Hickory Tavern, I got up one day and I had a flat tire. So I said, well, I'm gonna try to change the flat tire, which I did, but I was afraid to drive on it because I didn't have look those were out enough. So that didn't happen. And that's
I'm impressed you changed it. I don't think I could change the tire.
and while we were there, I was outside. I don't know if I was working in the flower bed or something. That's when Elvis Presley. I heard that
Oh,
on the
no, I told you Elvis Presley
okay.
died.
Okay.
Me and Lisa were sitting in front of the TV.
Okay. Well
I
then I
was
was
12
outside.
years old, and I remember the news. I guess we were watching cartoons, and it broke in and said, Elvis Presley has just died. And I was like, Mama, Elvis Presley just died. And you were like, No, he did not. That is not true. And I said, Well, the TV just said it. So
You know, you don't believe anything your kids are saying.
well, I saw it on TV, so I knew it was true.
Yeah.
Well, back then it was more true than it would
Yeah,
be
that's
today.
true.
So.
Yeah, that's true.
But anyway, so we lived there and it was hard. It was hard for me and it was hard for Ricky, I know, to move away from Hickory Tavern because I mean, I was in I was about to go into the eighth grade. We moved the summer between seventh and eighth grade. And then Ricky, of course, is a year behind me. Mama calls him Rick. I call him Ricky.
Well, because he got
Because
married, his wife calls him Rick.
yeah, so I can't help it. Everybody calls him Rick but me now. I still call him Ricky. So if y'all get confused, it's the same person.
Probably.
Okay, Lisa still calls him Ricky, so I'm not the only one. But anyway, I remember that was really hard. But the house that we moved to on Earl Street, which is the historic neighborhood. So, just something that I don't know if my listeners know this or not, but from the time I think I was about in the fourth grade, I knew that I wanted to draw houses.
Yeah, I remember going in your bedroom and drawing.
I just love to try to figure out like how houses were put together and all that kind of stuff. So when we moved to downtown Greenville to Earl Street, where all these historic, beautiful homes were, I thought, even though I hated leaving my friends, I thought, this is like, I felt like we were so rich because we had moved into this big two-story house right in the middle of town. And of course, y'all put work into that house. It needed some work. But I know Daddy wasn't happy there
No,
because we pretty much had a postage stamp size lot. And what did we have? Like 2 acres in Hickory Tavern?
I think we only had an acre.
Oh, what?
Yeah,
But that we only had pasture,
yeah, we
field,
didn't
and
have.
everything around us. So we had neighbors that got mad if, Lisa rode her bicycle on the neighbor's lawn or anything like that. So, but I loved living there. I thought it was great. And I went to Greenville High School
Hmm.
and but then you and Daddy, I guess Daddy decided he just couldn't live there because we lived there a little over a year.
Yeah,
Well, we had our own rooms.
We did.
that was beautiful, wasn't
It
it?
was beautiful. It had 4 bedrooms
Hmm.
and 2 full bathrooms. I had my own room for the first time in my life, and Lisa too. But of course Ricky always had his own room. He was the boy. But yeah, that was hard because it was so beautiful.
Hmm.
But then I don't know how you and Daddy decided that you were going that Fountain Inn, like downtown Fountain Inn, which is not anywhere near downtown Greenville size, but downtown Fountain Inn How did y'all decide that's where you wanted to look?
Well, we talked to a realtor and we were just trying to find out some houses. And I guess, gosh, I guess we just saw that house and I love the street I live on.
Yeah.
It's got the most beautiful trees, just like downtown
Yeah,
Greenville.
it is. It's a lot like
And so I guess we just saw that house and it was something we could afford and we
and it was so cheap. How much was it?
34 5.
Yeah. So 34,500.
Yeah, but that was
I know, 1979,
1979.
November of
And I've lived there
1979.
ever since.
Yeah. So
So don't talk about us not living anywhere for very long. But that we did.
finally, it
Yes,
just took a
fine.
while to figure out where we needed to be.
Yes.
But so I remember when we didn't get to look at this house and y'all just came and told us we were moving, and I was so upset that we were moving. But I was like, and everybody at school made fun of me that I told we were moving to Simpson to Fountain Inn, and so there used to be something at Hillcrest High School called the Ramettes. Do you not remember that, Lisa? I don't even. They weren't cheerleaders, but they were like on the sidelines of the game. I don't know.
Like the color guard, maybe?
Well, no, they were more like cheerleaders. I don't know why they called them the Ramette. Anyway, everybody was making fun. You gonna be a Ramette when you move to Simpsonville? I mean, move to Fountain Inn. So anyway, but you and Daddy, and then Lisa said she thinks she came with Grandma and Grandpa, but I don't. We came in. There's two driveways to this house, the front and the back, and it's this little bitty house. We were in this beautiful white two-story house.
Uh, like what do you call like the Southern Belle House
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of like sort of like uh
Gone with the Wind.
no. Oh darn it, the Steve Martin movie where the girl gets married.
Father of the Bride.
Father of the Bride, that's it. Yeah. See, Lisa, we beat you. We beat you for this. But it was kind of sort of like that, kind of a setting and kind of a house. And then so we pull up to this house and it was this little tiny house and it was half brick and half siding. Had a little tiny front porch. Couldn't even put a chair on it. It was so narrow. And I would not get out of the car. But but I was so mad. And I can't remember. I think Daddy threatened me if I didn't get out of the car. So I got out of the car and I went and the house smelled. I don't even know why you kept going. Like when y'all saw this house, like why did you keep going? So there was mine and Lisa's bedroom was the cat's bedroom. Literally. Like that's where the cat, and there was cat pee smell all the way through the house. They had
wood stove.
a wood stove, but no, did they have a wood stove? They had that bar. They had turned the garage, which was a one-car garage, into
Den.
a den. It had gold shag carpet and a black pleather bar on one end. It was
Oh
awful.
yeah.
It was. See, I don't think it had a stove. We put a
We
stove
put
in
a
later
stove in. That's
because we
right. The
didn't
furnace
have
went out.
heat.
The furnace
All
went
it
out.
had was that baseboard heating. But anyway, I was mortified. I was mortified. And then somebody had killed themselves in the house. And I'm sure that's why we got a good deal on that. Then mom and daddy make us scrape that horrible yellow shag carpet that was glued to the floor. It was awful. But I will say that it was the best thing that I mean at the time I thought this is the worst possible place we could live because I think that was the worst house we'd ever moved
Yeah.
into.
And
It
Daddy always saw potential.
he did. And that is the thing that I never thought about it until I was probably in my 50s that every house we moved into, y'all would do some sort of renovations to it. And I didn't realize what an impact that had on me and how I guess that's why I wanted to draw house plans because I saw how Y'all always took a house. And I mean, it had to be hard for you because Daddy was the one that really, I think, had the vision
Yeah.
for changing the house.
Mhm.
But you had to take a house and you had to make it a home
Yeah.
for all of us, even the condemned house that we lived in for 2 months. And where were we, Virginia or
Yeah.
so,
No, Maryland.
or Maryland?
Right.
So you always were able to do that. How were you? I mean, did you have a good attitude about?
The only thing when we did the house we live in now, and your daddy, he retired, and so he, for Christmas that year, he said, "Okay, I saved some money, and I'm gonna redo the kitchen." I thought, "Oh, that'd be nice, you know." Well, once you redo the kitchen, you got to do the floors. You had to take out all the carpet. You
Yeah.
had to put hardwood floors down for almost 1 year. We were in construction. Thank goodness I worked. And every Saturday, he had these drawers, and he made all the kitchen cabinets, did a
Mhm.
very good job. And so every Saturday, we get out there and we put that varnish in these. And I said, "How many times are we going to put this varnish in these drawers? They're not ready yet. They're not ready yet." And I told him, I said, "Well, we're having Thanksgiving at our house this year. We have to have all this done." But we had stuff on the table in the dining room because we made our daughter-in-law suggested that we make our living room, which was so tiny, into a dining room because we were getting bigger and bigger, and which was a good idea.
I know it was a good
Yeah.
idea. Yeah.
So anyway, oh, so I told him, before he passed away, I said, "Just go in the garage and just do something, but don't do anything in the house." But he always kept the house up and everything, so he was good about that. And I didn't have a lot to do when he passed away.
Well, that was the thing I remembered. So when Daddy passed away, it was suddenly, and because he passed away of COVID. And one thing that I remember was we were sitting in the den, and Mama's house was just totally redone.
Yeah,
Everything is so nice, and Daddy added another full because it just had a bath and a half, and he created like a master bath suite, and then he created another bathroom, a full bathroom, and but it's everything's pretty much been redone, totally redone. So that was a gift to you
yeah,
that you don't have to worry about,
right.
except for the,
I
you
have to
know,
do the upkeep. Yeah,
right, that's all you have to do, but it's a very nice, I mean, it took a lot of work. It took a lot of work, but now it's a beautiful house, and people always would say to Daddy that how much they love that, the beautiful little house on the corner. I mean, it's a little house, but it's kind of like a little, just kind of little cottagey sort of thing. But so you can take pretty much wherever you live and you can make it into a home
yeah,
for your family.
yeah.
And I think that's something that you taught all of us, how
Mhm.
to make a home, you know, even when when John and I were living in that trailer over there in the middle of the cow pasture, and I remember you coming over and you helped me plant flowers.
Mhm.
And because it was so depressing, we had
Mhm.
this trailer in the middle, no trees, no nothing.
But you make do with what you have.
Yeah,
And like
and
my mom said, there's always soap and water. You can
yeah,
always keep it
you
clean.
can
It
always,
may not be and I may not have the nicest house, but you know what? I have a lot of memories of that place.
well, after 46 years of
Yes,
living there,
yes. And I do not want to live anywhere else. I mean, if I lived down in the country, I wouldn't like it.
yeah,
I want to be off Main Street. I
in
can go to
Fountain
the
Inn,
grocery
yeah,
store.
yeah,
I can, just
it's close,
yes,
yeah,
yes. And I know I'm supposed to be in Fountain Inn. I know Fountain Inn was where we were supposed to
yeah,
live, although at the time it was like, oh my God. And we met you met John,
yeah,
you met Mike,
yeah,
Rick met Ginger,
mm-hmm,
and we would have never met them if we'd have lived in downtown
mm-mm.
Greenville.
No,
So
no, God, I mean, it's funny when you look at our story and how God brought brought us through all these different stages of our lives and to lead us to Fountain. I mean, who would have thought?
People said, "Where's Fountain Inn?" I've had more people years ago that'd say, "Where's Fountain Inn? I've
I
never heard
know,
of it."
I know.
Or maybe I've heard of it, but I've never been there. Because used to be the main drag through to go to
To go
Myrtle Beach,
right. Well, to get to Columbia, I mean, you got to go through
Columbia.
Fountain Inn to
Yeah.
get anywhere to the lower part of the state from Greenville. So, yeah, but Fountain Inn has been a blessing for our family, and it's like you feel connected. And then again, me marrying, like I've said before on the podcast, that John's family has been here at least we know since the early 1800s, probably since before that in Fountain Inn. And so to have a family that's so rooted
Yeah.
in a community,
Hmm.
I think, that's something that really appealed to me. And I think that created roots for our family,
Hmm.
to put down. So,
And Lisa, I mean, she lives in her mom and dad, her mother and father-in-law's house.
yeah, that's
So
right.
that's a legacy that you have.
Yeah.
They
Mhm.
may not have been here forever, but
Right.
a
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah.
Mm.
So,
A lot of memories there.
so when, when we lost Daddy was 79, and we had had Thanksgiving and at your house,
Hmm.
and then we found out right after that he had COVID, and then he ended up in the hospital and he passed away. And I've talked about that a lot on the podcast. He passed away on December the 10th, 2020. And but one thing, it was hard. Like the thing that as a family, you know, some of the things that when we go through these things together. I mean, if families don't have each other when they're going through tragedy like that, I don't know how they make it.
No.
I mean, if you were by yourself and you didn't have your family, but I remember because it was so close to Christmas, I mean, you couldn't even think about Christmas at that point in time because it was just, again, it was sudden. We didn't expect it. And so you decided that you were just going to put up a real tree because you normally didn't do that. And we went to the hardware store,
Hmm.
and Connor McCraw, that owns Burdette Hardware, gave you a Christmas
And he
tree.
gave me the little stand that it goes in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that year, that was pretty much all. I mean,
And the grandkids came and decorated the tree.
yeah,
And they even went and got the decorations and stuff.
no, we didn't have any decorations because
Oh yeah, that was the
because I had put something on Facebook and I had asked people that knew us
hmm
if they had if they could find an ornament that reminded them of Daddy,
yeah.
if they would send it.
Hmm.
And you don't realize how multifaceted somebody's life is.
Hmm.
And so you started getting all these ornaments in the mail and you didn't know why they were
Yeah.
coming in the mail. And of
Hmm.
course I made sure that I only gave your address to people who I knew. But what we decorated that tree with was all those ornaments. So whenever you get an ornament in the mail, you would go ahead and you would hang it on the
And I
tree.
think we got like 100.
Was it that
I
many?
think so. It was a lot. I took a picture of every one of them.
And I mean, what a bless! That was such a blessing for that was a way people could comfort
Yeah,
us
right.
during that
And
time.
see, people couldn't come, and
No,
Dawn's
because it was
family,
COVID.
your daddy's family couldn't come from New York or anywhere
No,
because everybody was so scared.
yeah, it was so awful. But one thing I remember you saying when we were in the funeral home, and we were in there, I guess it was when we first went to see Daddy, before the visitation and everything. And you said, I don't know how people do it who don't know God.
Yeah.
How do they get through these tough times
Hmm.
if they don't have Jesus? And I was thinking the same thing. That in the verse, peace that passes all understanding. I
Hmm.
think he gave all of us,
Yeah.
even though it was hard, it was very, very, very hard, but we still had a peace
Yeah.
that, gosh, I can't imagine going through that without knowing we're gonna see him again.
Yeah, it's true. If we didn't have that hope, we wouldn't why even care?
I know.
But there's so many people that blame God for so much. Yeah,
Well, it was easy to be mad at God during that time because so many people were praying
yeah.
and
But it wasn't God's will.
it wasn't.
And maybe there was something that's going to be worse happen to him if he'd have lived, you know.
You don't know
We
what,
don't know. We don't.
yeah. But the thing is, you've been very strong.
Well, I sometimes you wonder, but I have my family, so
Yeah. But, you're an inspiration because you're never the victim. You never want people to think of you because you've been through difficult, all the things with daddy going in the war and, living in Germany for a year and not, all of those things had to be really difficult. And maybe at the time you don't
well, I don't think
necessarily
you think
see it.
that, no,
Yeah. But
because you love your husband. You're gonna go where they go. It doesn't matter where they go. You're gonna be with them if you love them,
yeah.
and so you just have to keep on going
Yeah. That's right.
and try to have some good friends around you.
Hmm.
And I have my two sisters that I go meet with once a week, and we go
Yeah.
out to lunch, and we talk. And sometimes, you just need that family. And my brother died right before my mom did in
Yeah.
2012, so we didn't have him, and that brought us closer together.
Yeah. That was really hard because he just died unexpectedly.
Massive heart attack, yeah,
I mean, nobody expected that because he seemed very healthy.
yeah,
And
hmm
so there's just a lot of things that have happened in our family that, you get through it though, with God and family, you get through it. So, what advice would you give young wives about building strong homes when life feels unstable?
Well, I think you just have to love your spouse and let them know that you are. And sometimes I have regrets of, did I not tell your daddy that I loved him enough? I hope I did. I hope I was there for him. But be there for your mate. If they need you, I mean, you're their number one person.
Yeah,
And just get into church. Get a
yeah,
get a Sunday school class that you can, talk to people and just show your children that you love them and that you're there for them, and whatever they need, you'll be there. And we might not agree with their kids because they have different opinions than you do. And I don't see that so much in my children, but I do see it in the next generation.
yeah.
Not, I'm not saying anything bad about them, but they just kind of tell us how it is, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Um,
But they have their rights too.
yeah.
We're not always right.
Well, and that's humbling,
Yeah.
because when you realize you're not always right,
Yeah.
and that sometimes your kids can teach you things, especially the older they get.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to talk as we're about to finish up about some of the traditions that we had when we were growing up because I think you always made holidays feel special. And you always made our birthday because that was something that, some people don't celebrate birthdays. They don't think it's a big deal. They don't, Mike, he doesn't think it's a big deal. Lisa's husband. But you always made us feel special. I mean, we didn't have birthday. I mean, I remember maybe one birthday party I had growing up, but you always made us feel special on that day. And I thought, that's what I want to do for my kids. I want, now that they're adults,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily do it on the day, but I always want to make sure to make them feel special. And I mean, did grandma do that for y'all when you were growing up?
Well, we always celebrated birthdays. We didn't have parties and stuff. I don't think, years ago people didn't have they
Yeah,
celebrate more now than they used to.
right.
But Yeah, we always, like had a cake or something like that.
Yeah. And now, well, we haven't been doing it as much since Daddy passed away, but then Mama started the tradition where because when your family grows, then you have multiple birthdays in almost every month of the year, and so
No
then
November.
yeah, well, I don't guess so. No,
Mm-mm.
no, nobody in November. There's probably another month, isn't there? Is that the only month we don't have a birthday? What made you decide that you wanted to do that? Start doing that?
Well, everybody has a special day,
Yeah,
and they don't may not get it recognized any other time but their birthday.
yeah.
So I think that should be special. And like we would do, we used to do all the June birthdays because we have so many June and so many October.
October.
But you don't want to leave anybody out, but I always try to remember them with a card and
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that.
Because there's some months there's only like one or two birthday. Well, I think,
But even growing up, me and Ricky and Daddy always had our birthdays within a week of each other.
yeah,
But we always celebrated them independently.
individually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Ricky's the 7th of October, Daddy's was the 9th, and Lisa's the 12th.
And then we got another on the 12th, Sloan,
Yeah, Sloan, a great grandchild now.
Ginger,
And
Brianna.
we have so many October birthdays. And then June, we have more June birthdays now.
And she has birthdays, Joe.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
So
Jim.
Jim
So
and Daddy were the same.
there's lots of birthdays in June and October especially. But I think that's special. But another thing that you always wanted to make Christmas feel special for us, or I felt like you did anyway. And I don't know, growing up, I don't remember. I just remember, Christmas is special because you're a kid and you get presents,
Yeah.
and so I don't remember except for going to grandma's. We always
We
went to
always,
grandma and grandpa's on Christmas
and
Eve.
now you come to my house on Christmas Eve.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. But when our kids were little, we would go to grandma. Well,
Yeah.
grandpa had passed away by that time, but we went to grandma's. And then after grandma's, we'd go to yours and daddy's house,
Hmm.
Ricky and Lisa and me and our kids. And we'd stay out till 11 or 12 o'clock at night. And we just had the most fun. The kids loved it. And for my family, we would come home and we would make reindeer dust. And so as soon as we came home, Elise especially was like, "We got to put the reindeer dust out for Santa Claus." So she was out in the front yard, sprinkling the reindeer dust. But one thing that once we left Grandma's and went to your house and Daddy's house, you always gave your kids. Well, I think you started it. Elise was because Elise is the first grandchild, and so she was a little bit older when you started the tradition of giving them the
Pajamas.
pajamas.
Hmm.
And so now that's passed on down to the great grandchildren. But the girls didn't really want to give up the pajama because what they would do is open the pajamas and then they'd run to all
Run.
different parts of the house and they change into their
Yes.
Christmas pajama, or they weren't necessarily Christmas themed, but their pajamas. And then they opened all their presents in their pajamas,
Yes.
and that was always fun. But now, when the girls started getting married, the husbands did not want to participate in this tradition. So now it's just the great grandkids. But
But they still like it.
yeah, but Blakely, the oldest great grandchild, is 14.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much longer it's going to last for something. But anyway, that's like some sweet traditions. And then we always take the kids' pictures
Yeah.
on the steps. But then
The
it's,
families.
yeah, and then each family and then the whole family, which it's getting to the point we can't hardly get everybody in the
We're gonna
frame.
squeeze them in forever.
Yeah, I don't know. We may not, you may
And
just get an eyeball or something on one
and
of
then
them.
Lisa, she started making the stockings,
Yeah, so we had Christmas.
all their names on them, and that was hard trying to find the material to make all the
So they
stockings,
all
but they all
match.
match,
Yeah,
and I still hang them up.
yeah.
We used to fill them up, but we don't do that anymore.
Yeah, well, these stockings are small too,
They
so
are
you can
Yeah.
much in them. But I know one year Cole suggested, my nephew, that we take the money from the stockings
Yes.
and support a family. And so that's what we did. Uh, I don't I don't know how many times we did. We probably need to start doing that again
We really should.
Well,
because
yeah.
it is good to help support other families. That
And then we had the Christmas ornaments, that we had given the
yeah, Mom,
kids.
you always give a special ornament. Well, you were giving it to everybody, but I know that got to be too many people. So now it's just the grandkids,
Great
the
grandkids.
great, well, the great grandkids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a job doing all that,
Yeah.
but you don't want to, you don't want to stop.
Yeah. But we appreciate that. And the traditions were, it's exciting. Even, I'm 60 years old and I still get excited about Christmas at Mama's house.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. I think traditions really root families into togetherness and
Well, I worked with a lady, and I guess I told her about the pajamas. She said that's what I'm going to start doing, and we
yeah,
did. So if you have a tradition that really is special, suggest it to a young mother.
yeah,
Maybe and maybe her family didn't do anything like that.
yeah,
So you can start your own traditions. You don't have to just do, um, what your family did. Maybe you want to start your own tradition,
yeah,
which you did with your frankincense and myrrh.
yeah, because
So, and you've probably had traditions that you started. So I
Yeah.
think that's a good thing. Makes your family your own family.
and it makes you feel like you belong.
Yeah.
And it's actually, that is like a proven fact. Traditions make children feel like they belong to something and they can expect when they know, oh, this is what's going to happen. And even though it might be silly things, just like the story or the thing that you always say, the disclaimer you
Oh,
always make
I know.
and I don't know how young we were when Mama started saying it.
Never.
I mean, I think it was before I was even in high school. Now listen, before you open any presents, we spent the same amount on each one. Now you may not have the same number of gifts. So every
Yeah.
year Mama has to give her discount. So now it's kind of a funny thing. She just has to get up and say it just so we can laugh about it. But it's something that, when you have those shared experiences and you have funny memories that you can share together, that creates a bonding that is very important, I think, to give stability to families.
Yeah.
And one thing that we didn't talk about, I know we've gone over just a little bit, but the thing that I think that made our home more stable than anything was the dinner table.
Yeah.
And it upsets me so much that it seems like our society has just thrown that tradition away.
Hmm.
And but the thing is, that's how you find out what's going. I remember sitting around the table and so I did a kitchen table episode not long ago, and Lisa, maybe you can answer. So I asked Mama because we all sat around the table when we were growing up, but Lisa sat on the stool. Lisa always, because she's the baby, and I always thought, well, the baby sits on the stool. I just thought the baby of the family sits on the stool. I don't know why.
I
But
don't remember sitting on a stool.
you don't remember it?
No.
Oh my gosh.
Do you remember me sitting on a stool?
Yes.
Did we have 5 chairs?
That's what I asked Mama. She's like, I don't remember. Why Lisa was sitting on the stool every time.
We need to get some pictures out.
Yeah.
No,
That's a good idea.
He's sitting on a stool.
Always sat on the stool.
Let's look that up.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I promise you sat on a stool every single night at dinner.
Why would I be sitting on this stool?
Baby of the family. You weren't tall then.
On this stool.
It was a long
That's her
time.
job
That's right.
to research this.
Yes, you find out about the story. But anyway, we sat around the table, but that's when we were able to share what happened about our days, things we were struggling with. And I think that it just you kind of let down your guard when you're sitting around a table eating with other people,
Yeah.
and especially people that you know and love. You're more willing to open up and, like you said, turn the TV off and put your phones. Now, I would let my kids, if they had something funny they wanted to show me or something like that, but they weren't allowed to just be on their
I
phones
think
while
that's the
we're,
worst thing.
yeah, it's
These phones.
really, it really takes people away from each other because everybody's in their own little world.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just think I wanted to end on that because that's something that, I mean, growing up, I know your family sat around the table and grandma, I mean, I assume when she grew up, that must have been how she grew
I'm
up.
sure it was. And Bobby always sat on the stool.
That's right, Sally.
We talked about
The
that.
baby of the family sits on the stool. So,
Yeah.
of course, we only had needed 4 chairs for my family, so Jacob didn't have to sit on a stool. But anyway, I just wanted to. I mean, is that something that you consciously thought about at all, or you just did it?
Well, I think it was something that we needed to do because I that's the way I was brought up. So that's probably the reason that we did it.
Yeah,
And we didn't need you don't need the TV on.
yeah.
You don't need a phone. And now I never sit at the table.
Well, because you're by yourself.
But me and your daddy always sit at the table.
Yeah,
No matter what, we all and well, every once in a while he might sit in the den and watch TV and eat a sandwich.
yeah,
But as far as a meal, if you eat a meal, you need to be at the table.
yeah.
That's just
I agree.
because it cements you together
Hmm.
Yeah.
I
and
agree.
show that to your family that you want to be together.
Yeah. Well, so as we're closing, I know I've already said that once, but are there any like scriptures that kind of help get you through some of the tough times
Well, Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through his
through
that
Christ
gives me, yeah, that
or
Christ that gives
Christ?
me strength.
Yeah.
And then Isaiah 41:10, so do not fear, I am with you. And that if the Lord's with you, you're gonna be all right.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's been hard, but I know that the He's gonna lead me in the right way.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to just, you know, look to. Look to the Lord. He'll be there for you.
Commit your ways to the Lord
Hmm.
and he will make your path straight.
That's right.
So, well, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Well, it wasn't as bad as I thought.
See, it doesn't hurt a bit, does it?
No. Once you get into it.
Yeah, I
And we
know.
wish Lisa would have.
Well, she's in the wings, and at least she got to share a little bit.
She helped us a little bit. You'll never know, but she helped us.
You won't see her, but you can hear her.
Yeah.
But anyway, listener, I appreciate you joining us today. This is just something that I think all of us need to do is ask the stories of our parents and our grandparents, because if we don't learn the stories now, then we have missed an opportunity. So thanks so much for listening.